Once you've found a cause that you can passionately pursue, your next step will be to set the stage by examining your community. Community mapping is a tool activists use to accomplish this goal quickly and effectively. This tool maps out the local resources within a community such as roadways, social gathering locations, schools, businesses, residential areas, churches, and green spaces. The purpose of community mapping is to develop a blueprint of key locations and resources to assist you with your activism work. Welcome to the Activist Academy On Location segment. Today we'll cover community mapping. As you remember, community mapping is just trying to map out the resources and places that are pertinent to your activism. Now, today we're in Madison, Wisconsin, downtown at the University of Wisconsin campus. And I just want to show you how easy it is to do community mapping just by walking on the street and to show you how much information you can gather. So if you look over here, we have the University Bookstore, and to your right you have the Memorial Library. This tells you that there's a pretty significant university presence here in terms of not only the students being involved here, but in terms of university ownership of property, which may be information you need to know depending on what type of activism you're doing. Also, this could be a location where students could gather and meet, and a good place to meet people when you're trying to petition people to join your activism efforts. Over here you see a Catholic church. This lets you know that there is a religious community here, that there's some religious life here. And maybe, depending on what you're doing, that could be something you could tap into. If you look at this general area, this is what they call the College Mall. The College Mall is during the day, on weekdays, is when students come here during lunchtime or when they're passing through classes, and they'll get a quick bite to eat or hang out, talk to each other, and study. So this is another great social gathering place where you can meet people and talk to folks. If you look down the street, you see the state capitol. The state capitol, the fact that the state capitol is so close to this area lets us know that there's probably a pretty strong political community here on this campus, since they have such close access to state and local government. Also, if you look down the street here, you see the Digital Outpost, you see some other locally owned businesses right next to it. This sort of gives you a clue that maybe this economy here is pretty diverse, that there's a good mix of local owners and national chain owners, because you see the Walgreens and you see the Starbucks. That could be good information because you can identify the fact that owners maybe have more invested in this community than if this place was strictly large stores and big national chains. If you look over here to your right, you see these newspaper receptacles. This can tell you that this community is probably well informed on public affairs and what's going on. The fact that there's not only newspapers made available here, but that there's a lot of different options that people have. If you look down the street here, you see a bicycle rack. Now in this community, bicycle racks are very common, very prevalent. This can give you a clue that maybe this community is very health conscious, maybe they're very environmentally conscious, or maybe there's a need for more public transportation, or maybe there's just not enough space for cars to get through here. Maybe it's a highly congested area. But those are the little clues you want to look for when you're constructing your community map. Finally, I want you to look at the trees and the apartments here. The fact that we're in the downtown and that people have seemed to allocate space for green space, and also for green space lets us know that the environment is probably a very important thing to people in this community. This is something you want to keep in mind when you're trying to do your activism in, say, a community like this. Another thing is with the apartments, it lets you know that maybe a lot of these people who live here aren't homeowners. So maybe this is possibly a very transient community. This can let you know this can give you some clues in terms of people's commitment to this community and people's deep-rooted involvement here. You probably won't see a lot of people who've been here for generations. These are probably more people who are just come here to work, come here to study, and then they go on about their life. So these are some of the things you can learn when you're doing your community map successfully.